The Leadership Book, Sensei, Mentor, Teacher, Coach. Powerful Leadership for Leaderless Times from Kane and Wilder is action-oriented. No heavy organizational theory. It's about action and getting on the ground with your sleeves rolled up. Weaving personal study with real-world application, Sensei, Mentor, Teacher, Coach is built for those that have a calling to serve others. Sensei, Mentor, Teacher, Coach. Powerful Leadership for Leaderless Times. Jumpstart your legacy today. Available at Amazon.com and all fine booksellers.
Welcome to the Martial Arts and Life podcast with United States Martial Art Hall of Fame member, nationally board-certified life coach, and multi-award-winning author Chris Wilder.
Good day, good morning, good afternoon, good tea time, and all of that kind of good stuff and junk. I'm Chris Wilder, and welcome to Martial Arts and Life, the podcast for the discerning karateka. Today is the strong karate teacher. If you are a martial arts instructor, a karate teacher, a sensei, a seibum nim, whatever your title is, continue to listen. If you're a student, if you're not instructing, if you're not assisting in some form, you're just a student, which is, when I say just, it makes it sound like you're no. If your role is that of a student, then you don't need to listen any further to this, because this is going to be just a laser light focus on material for martial arts instructors. Now, I'm going to say karate instructor because that's the environment that I swim in, and so I'll be defaulting to that. But, do keep in mind this is for kung fu, jiu-jitsu, all of the martial arts out there, because they all have this one unique quality about them, and that is strength, which is what we're going to talk about. Now, if you're continuing to listen and you're a student, go ahead. I don't know that it's going to be worth your time, especially if you're saying things like, well, I might be a teacher someday. If you're saying that you might be, you're not going to be. So don't spend your time with this. You can spend your time doing something else that might be more productive in your world. And by the way, look, not everybody's cut out to be an instructor. Not everybody's cut out to be a teacher. There are various levels of skill and engagement, methodologies and abilities. But if you don't have let's call it the bug, the desire, the thing that's pulling you forward, well, this isn't really for you. The thing about being a karate instructor, specifically today, in these unprecedented times, in these difficult times, in these uncertain times. Okay, yeah, I got it. Okay, I don't need you telling me this. I got it. You got it. We all got it. We're good. Now, I can move past that point of rage and start to tell you that everybody sees the weak. And I don't mean the moment of weakness. I'm talking about people that are just flat out weak, crushed, destroyed. Now, that makes it sound like I'm making some sort of character choice, like I'm saying, their constitution is weak, and so, they're subhuman. No, that's not what I'm saying. Weakness is part of the human existence. Do 30 push-ups and then, come back in 15 seconds and try to do 30 again. You got weak, didn't you? It's a natural state. It happens. Okay, so when I'm talking about somebody exhibiting weakness, I'm not making really a moral judgment. There could be one attached to it, but I want to leave that out of the picture, and I want to just talk about, the weakness and how it is seen. Here's the thing about it, is that when weakness becomes omnipresent, it becomes invisible. In Seattle, we have where I live, we have just a rolling disaster of homelessness. Now, we say homelessness, but really there's a small percentage of people that are homeless because of circumstances that I don't want to say beyond their control, but things that befell them that, they didn't anticipate. And listen, man, we all get those moments. Sometimes it is just a brutal baseball bat upside the head, and it takes you a while to get your feet back underneath you. And sometimes it's not quite that horrible, but we hear the story of a cascade of events that have stacked one upon another that results in a family living in a car, a single mom with 2 kids living in a car, or, a young woman who is living in her car, moving it from neighborhood. We hear these stories, and I get it, but it's a small percentage. What we're really looking at here in Seattle is a weakness that is born of drug usage. And I could go into the policies that have brought that on, and not important. Not important for our story. You see, if somebody is standing outside your local grocery store and their eyes are sunken in and they've, shit themselves, and they're asking you for money, well, we know where that money is going to go, so we don't do it. Because if that person really wanted help, they could go get it, and it's almost no cost other than an investment of self. But they can't find that self. They can't find that place because they're weak. And that doesn't mean that they don't need help. It doesn't mean, I'm not talking cruel and sensitive. Stay with me. It's just the observation of the weakness. And now when you put that together, and together, and pretty soon they're standing shoulder to shoulder at every corner, at every turn, they become just part of the background. They're background noise to the rest of us and our existence. They've become omnipresent, ubiquitous, and everywhere. The weakness of the individual, the systems, and the society are just everywhere. They are inescapable. And with that inescapability, they become the norm. And when that weakness becomes the norm, well, that's what it is. It's the baseline of existence. It's the normal way we live now. It's not good. In fact, it's horrific. I don't want to make this into an issue of the city of Seattle, King County, and the policies and all of these kinds of things. I want to stick with just the tragedy of the weakness. You see, and when the strong become weak within this context, it's not seen. If you're a martial arts instructor, you're above average on discipline. You're above the norm. You've made a commitment, you've stayed with that commitment, and you want to share the benefits of that commitment with others. There's a joy in passing on the discipline, the experience, the enlightenments, the moments, the ineffable things that cannot be touched or described, that can only happen in your heart, in your fist, and between your ears. And oftentimes, simply cannot be communicated other than that feeling. And you know it, and you see that glow on others when it happens, and that's what makes it worthwhile, the sharing of these moments, aspects, and dimensions that all entail the martial arts. But here's the thing, you're strong. And when you are in an environment where the world is telling you that it's unprecedented times, it's terrible, it shouldn't have happened, we're going to get through this, we'll be okay, stay with us, stay the course, do these things, Yeah, that needs to happen. It needs to happen. But it gets old. And it becomes like those drug-addled, homeless people who have shit themselves, standing shoulder to shoulder, elbow to elbow, everywhere you turn. You, because you're strong, your weakness becomes invisible. And we have it, man. Let me tell you something. You and I both know that there's days where we turn off that Zoom class and say, what am I doing? This is a fraction of the experience. This is not even a cheap paper cutout of the level of experience that this thing deserves. My students, the people that train with me, deserve better than this. But this is the channel, and this is all we have. And so you set out to try to make it valuable to them, to make it valuable to you, to go back and share all of those things that we listed earlier in the podcast. Those moments, that ineffability, those special things, discoveries that can only happen on that dojo floor. When you're weak, it's not seen. Now, there's two reasons that happens, but one of the things that is important to note is that when your weakness is not acknowledged, it becomes a little harder. There's nobody putting their arm around your shoulder going, hey, you know what? Today was a tough day, but you're going to be okay. I got your back. We're in this together. Don't worry. Get a good sleep. Let's hit it tomorrow. Those are good words. That's a good position. And sometimes we don't get that because the nuclear blast of what's happened in regard to the context around the world absolutely overshadows those moments of weakness. And here are the two reasons that they're not seen. One is that we do a pretty damn good job of hiding it. We do a pretty damn good job of keeping it private. It's rare to stand in front of a class and say, you know what, today was absolutely horrible. My wife left me and my dog died and I had 2 flat tires. Oh, that's not really going to happen. And if it does, it's probably in a joking manner anyway. I mean, it's like, look at this silliness of this. Sort of an ascendant view, a 30,000-foot view of the absurdity of it all. That's a position of strength. And the other aspect is that it can't be seen because people don't have the eyes for it. Years ago, there was a study that was done on YouTube, and I know you've seen it. And it was a study on focus and mental acuity and the myopic nature of how we see the world. And it was a set of probably 5, 6 college students. And it was like, count how many times these kids pass the basketball between each other. Then at the end of it, it was like, did you see the gorilla? And a guy in a gorilla suit actually goes through the picture. And you don't see it because you're so focused on the counting. If you haven't seen that video, go check it out. You can look it up. And it's just probably has got 6 trillion hits on it by now. But it's a fantastic example. And if you've seen it, you know precisely what I'm talking about. That's what happens to leaders when their weakness does show up. It doesn't show up because it can't be seen. Now, showing up and being seen are two different things, of course, but you see what I'm saying is that in others' minds, there's nowhere to hang this coat. Doesn't exist. And some famous people in history have dealt with this in many different ways. Churchill drank. Eisenhower smoked cigarettes. Ulysses S. Grant, the general of the Union forces in the American Civil War, drank and smoked. So that's the way that works. Now, for those of you out there that say, well, what about the women? Well, I don't know that I can historically find women that is part of their makeup. And I don't mean that in a bad way. It just doesn't seem to be included in the history that I've experienced or, listed or logged. I mean, Boadicea, I don't know if she had an alcohol problem. It's not listed anywhere in the historical books, writings, information. So I don't know, So guess what? It makes you look stronger than the rest of us. So good job. Anyway, the thing is that I'd like to now provide you with a solution, but I can't. You see, if I came out with a solution to you, it would sound as inane as the lists that are like how to improve your life. They invariably contain drink more water, or stay hydrated, or, meditate for 10 minutes every morning. I lose my mind over that stuff. Who says 10 minutes is the right number? And why should I do it in the morning? And why should it be every morning? Stupid cookie cutter stuff. And it's ridiculous for me to provide cookie cutter advice to you on how to do this. I'm just telling you that I get it. It's because it's who we are. We're strong. We have these moments and they're not seen. And I don't know how to recommend anything to you other than to say that it's there. I don't know how you deal with it. And I can't see it because this is a podcast, but know that I know that it exists. And sometimes just the simple fact of having somebody say, hey, I see that. I know that. I hear it, is enough to alleviate some of the maladies that you might be experiencing, some of the weakness. It's just enough sometimes to turn the level down, to turn it from the ubiquitous 11 from Spinal Tap to maybe more of a more manageable 5 or 6, Please, I'll take that. Thank you. After experiencing an 11 for the last year, yeah, I'll take a 6. Thanks. A year and a half ago, I would have rejected the 6 out of hand. But now I'm ready to take that now. Thanks, because all things in their own measure, right? Know this about this situation. Know that this is who you are, that you're different, and yet you're still the same. You're different in that your experience has constructed you in a way that is unique, gives you access to wisdom from those that have come before. We'll call them the masters. There's a saying here, a saying there, a comment that is helpful, sometimes an icon to ascend to and to be more like. This is what we've chosen. We've chosen to be this person. Some people would argue that it is the discipline of the martial arts, and some people would argue that it is nurture. I'm going to tell you the way I heard it from a guy who was explaining how serial killers work. Now, I'm not suggesting that we're serial killers, but I want you to see this because it's such a great analogy that I don't want to change it. I don't want to reshape it or make it more available to us in the martial arts. It is good the way it is, and it goes like this: that the innate nature of who a person is the pistol. The environment is the bullet. And it is the opportunity that allows for the trigger to be pulled. So you have 3 things that must come together to make that happen. Let's take out the murderer, the psychopath, the serial killer, and let's look at it that way. We're kind of hardwired in a way that make us martial arts teachers. And secondly, we've created an environment through our own will to allow us to do that. We have not only put the round in the chamber, but we have pulled the trigger and done it repeatedly. It's who we are. It's what we do. And to a certain degree, it puts us in a place where we're perceived as being stronger than some. Not everyone, but some, most. And that we have this sort of stoic position that we should not show weakness. And when we do, it just can't be seen because we have a tendency to hide it. We have a tendency to shape it. And the other thing is that people just don't have an ability to see it because it's so far afield. It has no place in their mind, like the monkey going through the college co-eds dribbling a basketball. You've chosen to do this, and I'm going to tell you that you must do it because it's who you are. And you're going to live into this role, and you will fail. You'll fall down. But your failures and slip-ups are going to be small because you're going to get back up. That's what you're going to do. Most importantly, you're going to get back up, dust yourself off, and take a step forward toward the noise. That's who we are. It's what we do. I don't have an answer for you. I can't make it better other than to say this. I acknowledge what you're going through. I have been through it. I'm probably going to get more of it. You've walked it. You've been through it. You're going to get more of it. But sometimes just hearing a voice in the wilderness say, hey, I saw that. I get it. I know you're tired. People get tired. You get tired. You're human. It's the way it works. You're going to be okay because you're doing better than most. And that's what I'm here to tell you. Sight unseen, I know you're doing better than most. The reason is that you're the strong karate teacher. You're the strong martial artist. You're strong.